Man,
That's sweet.
James, man, I was fucking nervous to talk to you.
Which is why you scheduled him for 2 o'clock in the morning his time?
Yeah.
Oh, is that the time now?
No, I fucked dude. Oh, all right. Here, okay.
So confused, man.
Now, in the episode, it's a little cryptic. Or we're gonna fix that in the intro, right? Yeah, we're gonna introduce this in the intro. So James, a little about me. I like to have guests on here. Also, I'm here with Clark. Normally, he runs these interviews, but
Okay.
I had to promise to protect him, so he would be.
You're a special guest, James.
I feel very privileged. I feel very special.
All right. Now, I apologize for. Now you're in Australia. You're not the first guest we've had call in from Australia, and Craig Anderson, good friend. And Jai Love, not such a good friend. If you want to go back, although
Jai Love, what is Jai Love?
Jai Love, he was a director. He worked on the new Mad Max movie, but I think he was like, I don't know, a boom operator or something. He did like set design.
Yeah,
but he
He
also
was like the director of it instead or something.
no, he directed a film that you actually might be into. It's called Dead Hands Dig Deep, and it's a documentary about a weird Southern California, very inland. I forget where they're from, but they're kind of. Imagine if Gigi Allen were a metal band that was sponsored by Hot Topic.
Gigi Allen, hold on, that rings a bell. That's that neo-Nazi dude, isn't it?
Yeah, the one who, when his dying wish was that people would graffiti his corpse while it was in an open casket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rings a bell.
And so yeah, the subject of that was the lead singer of the band Kettle Cadaver, which dude, a lot of the imagery from their stage performance you'd be into. Or I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't make assumptions.
Are they like, what's that movie that was based on a European band? It had Macaulay Culkin's brother in it.
Oh, what the fuck? I own the damn book. I can't even think of the name.
I can't think of it, yeah.
It's
He took a picture of his friend that committed suicide.
Yeah, it's Burzum and it's Mayhem. It's Lords of Darkness.
That's it.
I kept wanting to say Lords of Salem.
No, and
Unfortunately.
now, all right, James, like, fuck, I don't know where to backpedal. Okay, I'll finish my apology. I was I was booking you while playing D&D, which is the starkest contrast you could ever have.
What's DMD?
D&D,
Dungeons and
Dragons.
Oh,
I
see DND. I thought you said DMD. I was like,
No, and make it sound like a drug or something
Take
interesting.
a DMD while doing D&D.
Yeah.
DMD, bro.
Yeah, so I fucked that up. I screwed up our timing, and yeah, I apologize for that. But
All right, man. It's all good.
yeah, Lords of Darkness, that's about the black metal, the first wave of black metal stuff where it became very hipster out here in California, and everybody's like, oh, people killed themselves. They were they gay bashed and stuff. But they did use a picture of their buddy who committed suicide as an EP cover.
Yeah,
and
that's crazy.
Right? And that's a good tie-in to Kettle Cadaver, where the lead singer, he owned a lot of property, and he would shoot like weird Mad Max videos. There's a really good music video that I'll send you when we're done talking. And
Sweet.
he was pretty extreme. He had a little bit of pro wrestler in him, and he was a bodybuilder. But he would also like drive a nail through his member before a show, and would like he would hook like fishing line through his nipples to his neck, so short that he couldn't stand up straight, and then he would like perform this way. So yeah, there's a lot of raw footage there, and I'll use that as a segue. Now we're talking to James Dobbins today because, oh man, what night did you contact us? I'm trying to remember.
Bro, I can't even remember.
Yeah, I think it was a couple weeks ago. Me and Oksana, we were hanging out. She's my girlfriend, James, and
Okay.
she's also one of the programmers in the Film Fest, and she works on this show. And we're like, what are we going to watch tonight? And then we got your email. And it was like, oh, a dude on Instagram was asking why we had shut down our submissions early.
Oh, yeah, Film Freeway.
Yep. And then we got your film and a screener, and I said,
And for our listeners, further information will be given out shortly about why we shut down submissions early.
yeah,
Thank you so much.
and we technically didn't. We're just not doing the traditional film. I mean, if you listen to the show, you know. Yeah, but the Unnamed Footage Fest was down, and you're not the only one that's reached out and been like, hey, what the hell's going on? So we're like, we've been encouraging people, send your movie. We'll still watch them. And we're coming back, and we're probably going to be doing something prior to next year, but we're still watching everything. So we're like, I was like, hey, Oksana, what's the run length on that movie? And she was like, oh, it looks like 70 minutes. I said, well, perfect. Let's watch it tonight.
Yeah, no 300-minute films.
No, and, you know, with found footage, a lot of it, we get around an hour, or at least under 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Which is part of the reason I love it so much.
Nice.
So, you know, it was like, I think we threw it on at like maybe 11. It was, we were nearing midnight. And
I feel so sorry for you if you were eating when watching that.
I think we had snacks. I'm not sure, but we got on the
Were
couch.
they wet snacks?
I mean, this is
Some Mickey D's.
yeah, right. I think we're pre the holiday. I don't think it was Christmas yet. So we had the Christmas tree up and lights, and it was a good ambiance in the room.
Nice.
And we throw on your film, which is called Charlotte's Net, and it opens with a thing that we hate to see at the Unnamed Footage Festival, and that's the wrong kind of found footage. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Because we open with a nuclear family. It appears to be an advertisement for like a video store.
Yeah.
And they're all looking up at a TV, and they're going through the rating systems. And they do like this cute little thing where it's like PG, and they'll cover one of their like kids' eyes, and they'll go PG-13, then they cover another one. And then, dude, instantly, James, my heart dropped. I'm like, I like where we're going already, but we can't show. This is the wrong kind of found footage. Then cut to, now, don't correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm trying to work through my PTSD and remember this correctly.
Yeah, it's all good.
So then the next thing we see is what appears to be a 90s instructional video on the kids' guide to the internet. And we're right back with another nuclear family. This time we're in their home, and they're letting their older son express how great the internet is, and how now that he's figured out how to use it, he doesn't want to do anything else. And it's very everything is terrible, kind of like quirky. Kind of we're looking at this like kitsch thing that is an era of goofiness that we weren't aware of in the time. And then I think we make a hard cut to still images of dead people. And I went, oh, okay.
Hello.
Now, it's graphic, like, corpses. Or, I mean, it's death. But it's not the act of, like, killing or anything. And I just went like, oh, shit. And then I think we get a disclaimer right after. Now, how am I doing so far, James?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Okay.
105% on.
Now, and then we cut to an actual found footage. Like, clearly, we're dealing with a couple of actors, and it's in-world camera. And I'm like, oh, shit, this is a found footage movie that we can show. And, oh, you know what I missed? I missed the thing that I think I scared Clark with the most, which was we kind of leave the jokey atmosphere to the death. Then we come back to a title card, and then I think we come back to what I'm guessing are teenagers who are, I'm guessing, in the Middle East somewhere. And they end up beating up one of them.
Somewhere.
Now, that was the warning sign, I guess. I don't know. It's pretty graphic. One of them falls on the ground. Also, disclaimer now, I do want to work through some of these harder images here. So a warning mostly to you, Clark. But also I do want to like describe some of the stuff depicted in here. I'm not going to try and spoil this movie because we'll get there.
Okay.
But one of the kids falls on the ground, and he's stomped pretty brutally. Nothing worse than you may have seen at your own like high school.
So at what point, Russell, again, you went in this completely blind.
Yeah.
At what point did you realize, oh, this is real?
Well, I went, oh shit, because there was a disclaimer before that, and there was an image of a real like corpse, and I'm like,
And what did the disclaimer say?
Oh, what? Now here's the thing. I don't really know.
Warning.
Yeah, it says warning. It says if you're sensitive material on its way.
Okay.
Except how many fucking times have we seen that in a horror movie?
Sure.
And
the Boy Who Cried Wolf.
And especially to me, where James, I complained about going to the Alamo and they handed me a
Yeah.
barf bag to watch Raw, the movie Raw, and I'm like,
Oh, did they do that? They actually offered a plastic bag.
oh, what, dude? Now, if for horror fans, I'm like, don't fucking do that, because you hand me.
I didn't think they did that anymore. I thought that was like back in the 1970s to 80s.
Well, it was a gimmick. It was just a marketing
Some
ploy.
William Castle bullshit.
Well, not even, because William Castle's not lazy like that. Like, there would have been a lot more to it.
I didn't mean any. I
get
respect Mr. Castle.
But no, this is a good
R.I.P.
example of how I get worked up about dumb shit like this, because I'm like, you're challenging me with, you're threatening a movie that might make me vomit. Now, me as an elitist horror fan, I'm like, oh, how dare you? And you can only hurt the film from here on out. So when I saw the disclaimer in Charlotte's Net, it didn't even faze me.
Yeah.
And especially with a fucking found footage horror film.
But then you saw those images.
Well, then we get to the beating, which is like, oh, this could be like a little raw.
Yeah.
And then the way it was worked into the story was interesting. The moment that got me concerned was the next video, the first video of murder or carnage, which was a chainsaw to the throat of a prisoner of war. And I went, oh shit. And my first reaction was, well, I'm not going to look away. Like, you know what I mean? Like, of course not. We watch Your Mom's House live, and I'm kind of like, I kind of pride myself on not being fazed by any of the videos.
Yeah.
My second thought was, oh, Oksana, like, she was fine. And then I went, oh my God, am I going to be down for this? My next thought was, who sent this to us? But James.
Some sick fuck.
No, but
Yeah.
So I also had another thought, which was, my God, I feel so privileged right now. If there's a maniac out there who made this movie and they found a film fest that only shows found footage, I could potentially be one of the first people watching this. And even though it's like, it could potentially be horrific and immoral, man, I was feeling it. I'm like, I love the position I'm in.
Oh boy. And that's how the monster was born.
Fuck.
But then right after that, I went, oh my God, did he send this to other people? So
Yeah. So I just looked today actually because I got an email from a film festival and it was like saying about a submission, but it sent me a PDF saying how to make your submissions more successful. I'm like, yo, this is going to be a rejection.
whoa. Now, James,
But,
I'm honest. I was worried that you'd be answered with like threats. I thought people would be like, hey, I'm going to call the police.
Yeah, that's what I'm waiting for. That's what I'm hoping for. Yeah, man.
All right. Now, James, now talking to you, you're clearly one of the people in this movie. And
Yeah.
you seem pleasant to be around. I want to know, who the hell are you? Where'd you come from? Did you go to film school? How old are you?
Yeah. I'm nearly 27, man. I went to Sydney Film School a couple of years back. And yeah, I've always been a film buff, film geek, especially with horror films and that. I've been a massive fan with controversial horror films. Huge fan. I was like one of those kids in high school where all the kids would like watch movies that are at like the cinemas, and then I'd be the one like, yo, come over, check this movie, and I show them like Cannibal Holocaust and like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Clark, I know you. Go ahead.
No, I was just so this is your first feature, correct?
Yeah.
All right. Congratulations.
Now, here's the thing. I should mention,
What?
Clark hasn't watched the movie.
I'm getting there.
Okay.
I'm building a narrative.
He's
Russ.
Okay.
Visualizing it.
So James, how exactly did this project start?
Okay.
But, I mean, are you a big dark web guy? Do you watch a lot of these videos? How did this whole thing happen?
So as I've been always into like controversial, fucked up films ever since I was a teenager, I'd always wanted to make something that was sort of like disgusting and immoral. And so through the years, I was thinking of doing my own version. If you've ever seen it before, Faces of Death.
Sure.
Yeah, very familiar.
Yeah, I wanted to do a 2000 Faces of Death 2000 version of it, and so I wrote a script for that and wanted to do that.
Wait, you wrote a
And-
script for a Faces of Death film?
Yeah. Like I had it was going to be like getting videos off the net of that, and then getting an actor to pretend to be a doctor and talk about it through themes and issues and that.
Oh.
But I then thought about it and I was like, I'll do a short film for it. So I made a short film which was called Obsession, which you would have seen in the film. I like have my friend who's in it and tell him like the short film's out finally. Check it out before it goes to festivals.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he loses his shit when he watches it. But 2 years ago that came out. I took that to Sydney Underground Film Festival and had like around 40 people in the cinema and like 7 to 8 walked out of it.
That's not terrible.
But yeah, it was like up against all these other short films, but they're all like uni student films, like with like groups of like 12 to 15 people, and mine was just like 2 to 3 people. And I just thought, well, they've just put me in with all like the needle in the haystack.
Now, what kind of horror fan are you? Like, what's your favorite subgenre? Yeah, I could tell from
Please,
watching
take your time.
Yeah, I could tell from your movie that you're like, you've lived with this for a while.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I would have to say, it would have to be. I would have to say found footage. It'd have to be found footage.
Oh, my man.
Congratulations.
Well, you made a hell of a
Excellent
found
choice.
footage film. Now, where do you fall with?
He knows where the butter's bread.
Where do you fall with Cannibal Holocaust in there? Do you think it's like one of the earliest, or are you kind of like, eh? I like to split hairs on it, so.
Cannibal Holocaust is probably my top 5 favorite films of all time.
Yeah, and man,
Top 5 scores
It's
for
just
sure.
how extreme it was, and just I didn't expect for what I was going to see. I was just like, holy fuck.
Now, how old were you when you watched Cannibal Holocaust for the first time?
15, 16?
Oh, great. I was 31.
Yeah.
Damn.
No, I'm there with you. And when you're really young, I remember going through a phase of denial where I was like, dude, that turtle looked real. And just, like as the animal violence continues.
Look at the special effects, bro.
Yeah, it turns into, wow, that looked really good too. Man, they can't be faking this. And then people start dying. And it's like, no.
Wait, what?
They didn't kill that person. And my God, man, I've watched your film twice now. And I feel very accomplished. And I think you succeeded in making an updated version of Cannibal Holocaust.
That's what I was slightly aiming for, I guess.
Dude, you nailed it. And it took me a while to get there. Now, earlier I mentioned, I got worried when a person took a chainsaw to the throat.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of imagery in this film. And so here's the thing.
Here's what I'll ask about the chainsaw to the throat, if I may.
Bro,
very
I
quickly.
can't even watch like half of the stuff I've put on there, man. I even fucking cringe.
Okay, well, that's a warm thought. I appreciate that.
Fucking cringe. Like 80% of editing this film was me drunk.
Oh, you know what?
That was another thing of like, that's what I wanted to know if like, because you edited the film and you have an intimate knowledge and you have to watch these things, if you just sort of went numb with it.
Well, I was. Here's the thing, James. So when you posted this, I noticed there were people excited for your film to come out, and I couldn't help but like lurk on all of them. And there's clearly,
there's some fucking weirdos,
dude. Well, there's, I'm sure they're beautiful
just
people.
like me. Just like me.
But here's the thing. I didn't realize there's a whole subculture for it. So,
yeah, I didn't realize that either. Too, when I was like trying to find similar pages to it, I was like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah. Now, there's a moment in your film. You play the most despicable character, I think, that I've seen, who's actually hasn't really done anything wrong. I think you're the most relatable, despicable character I've ever seen in a found footage horror movie.
Just a troll. That's
Yeah, but so I watched this with my girlfriend, and she couldn't understand the relationship that's the heart of this film. And I said it's a pretty typical male relationship.
Yeah, I've had my sound editor was like, "What sort of friend does this sort of thing?" I was like, "Dude, this is how we acted in high school, man." And like the arguing that you see between me and my friend in that film is just how we argue in general.
Yeah, or just like teasing somebody, or like kind of like, I guess from an outsider it'd be bullying, But it's really, it's kind of like a bonding relationship that happens. I had a really hard time explaining that to her. And she was like, well, who would show their friend this horrible footage? And when I was talking to Clark about all the imagery that pops up, the thing that I kept wondering was, how did you curate it? Like, do you have a ton of these videos?
Okay, so you make me sound like a fucking. So the way I found this footage, right? There's just have you heard of websites on the internet like the YNC, as it's been spoken through the film, crazyshit.com or Best Score?
I only know YNC because I looked at the people who were excited for your film. I've never heard of any of them.
Sick bastards. But yeah, I would, because I'll just go back a bit. So with the Faces of Death idea that I had, it then changed. I was like, that'd be way too boring, and that it's just I want to do something else. I'm like, what's the cheapest? Because I want to make my own movie. So how can I do it in sort of like the most low budget way I can? And I'm thinking, well, what if I instead of trying to like spend money on special effects, and that probably won't even look that great. I'm like, well, what happens if I just use footage off the internet of someone actually getting killed and like getting the actors to like look like that person? And I was thinking to myself, that's going to be pretty tricky actually. So I went on these websites and I sat there and I looked through hundreds of fucking pages of just like, and I would like link them in like a Word, and then like figure out, I'd go on like casting networks for actors and just like compare some in that to it. And I'd spend hours doing this. And then it just, I came across this one video and I was like, yo, OMG, holy fuck. That he looks just like my fucking friend. Yo, he's got to be in this. And then through like what you asked about, do I have like a collection of this? For the film collection, like what you saw in the film, that's the only collection. But I got this off people in groups like Discord. You know of Discord?
Yeah.
Yeah, that and Telegram. So I just type it on Google. I'll be like Discord gore groups or Telegram gore groups, and then people have their groups and people just post disgusting shit of people getting killed. And I just look through that and like sort of go, okay, yep, no. And then that's how I got it.
Hold on. Discord gore groups? I imagine if you're going to dig through the internet, you could find some like real, like unfiltered shit in there.
So these Discord groups have rules. So if anyone puts anything up, let's say like CP, for example, you will get instantly banned. So they're very strict. So it's for like, just for gore, you're pretty safe.
Whoa. Were you ever worried about the people you were dealing with in those Discords?
I mean, I'd sit there and I'd look and I'd be like, the fuck is wrong with these people? Why do they have collectors? People ask like, oh, does anyone have any videos of animals getting killed and tortured? And I'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with people? But again, that's where like I found footage from, and I'm like, okay, so this sick fuck has this, what I want for my film, okay, and that. But yeah, like I'm presuming these, because I only have like a couple videos, and that's the videos from the film. But these people have probably like fucking gigs on gigs on gigs.
Now, you mentioned a dude looking for animal violence. Oddly enough, your film is full of human. It's mostly human violence. So listeners, don't worry.
So PETA won't be coming at you. That's good.
But you do have one. And
oh well.
That one video.
We tried.
We're a weird beast, the human. And I remember when I saw it, I went,
the most dangerous game, I've been told.
Dude, when I saw when I saw the animal one, I broke the silence me and Oksana had, and I went, that's the one they're going to come for. Like, if people get mad, it's going to be that one.
Yep.
And, man, how many people have seen your film?
I've had, like, I mean, on the – probably, like, 10 10 people. Because on the Vimeo, I've looked, and there's like, I'm presuming a couple from the people from the other festivals, but I haven't gotten anything back yet. I'm still in consideration.
Oh, man. Now,
Russ, hide your erection, please.
But I showed the friend that I had in it, Phil, the one that's on camera all the time. He was the first one to watch it, and his girlfriend, he's like, yeah, my girlfriend wants to watch it too. And I was like, are you sure you want to let your girlfriend watch this? Like, seriously, man, she doesn't watch this sort of shit.
Yeah, neither do I.
As much as I'm gonna love her reaction to it, I'm just like giving you a warning, man, because I don't know how she's gonna like really react to it. Anyway, we watched it, and at the end, she's just like, yeah, I enjoyed it, and I was just like, what? Are you serious?
What the fuck?
I wanted you to get upset. I wanted you to get angry.
What is that? Now, Oksana, my girlfriend, now, to sum up the movie we're dealing with found footage, which is kind of warning the perils of the internet. And instead of filming any gore, like you mentioned earlier, we end up cutting away to real violence that is actual found footage. I think it's brilliant. And also, it makes me, and I'll speak from my personal experience, it put me in a weird position. My relationship with this horror movie suddenly had flipped on me. Like when I watch Friday the 13th, we're usually waiting for Jason to come through and hack up somebody. And, you know, now the culture is we cheer for him. In your movie, if somebody shows up with a machete, the instant guttural reaction is, oh, God, no. Because I'm not worried about that guy, but I'm worried about what the internet has to offer as far as a guy being hacked up with a machete. Yeah. And, dude, you really flipped it on me. Like, there's a moment where they check the trunk of their car because something might be going on in there. And the trunk opens, and there's a laptop. And it couldn't have been anything worse than a fucking video. But it's a video, and it's like, oh, God. And I was wearing... I had a long sleeve shirt on from one of the boutiques. It was a Pieces shirt, which is a gory and very...
yeah, I've seen that.
Right? So I went upstairs, and I was looking in the mirror. I was like, why am I wearing this shirt? like essentially, the tagline for that is, it's exactly what you think it is. Implying, you know, she's going to die via chainsaw. And I just walked away from a movie where I found myself begging for, you know, a pleasant situation. And man, it flipped it on me. And that night I went to bed, and there was one video in particular that when I would close my eyes, I would see it. And I'd never experienced this before.
Bro, what video was it? Shit.
It was a video. It was the one where there's a girl being held down on the floor, and she's taking a knife blade to her face.
Okay, so it's in the film.
It's in the film, yeah. She's being stabbed like a few times. And the hardest...
Good old cartels.
Yeah, man. And I was closing my eyes, and I was just seeing it over and over. And I was like...
I'm getting it too now. You're giving me PTSD.
And you know, it's your fault. and I was laying there, and I'm like, hey, Oksana, I was like, hey, I'm sorry, like, I made you watch that. Or I don't think I said that, but I wanted to. And I was like, hey... did that film mess with you at all? And she was like, no. And like by the end of the movie, she was like leaning up on her seat, just like kind of fully taking it in. And there was a moment where I wanted to be like, I did say that. I was like, you don't have to watch this. Dude, she was not affected. Women, I don't know.
Yeah, that's like, wait.
Meanwhile.
Trend with girls.
Right?
This day and age.
I was in my room having an existential crisis about all my black shirts with band logos and horror. Dude. Oh, man. And thank you for the opportunity to see the film.
It's all right.
I think you succeeded in breaking, oh, man, what do you call it when, oh, God, when there's, like, no correct answer. It's the way you defeat robots in a movie. I want to call it a palindrome, but it's not that. Do you have any idea what I'm talking about? Bart gets asked to describe one in the first season of The Simpsons, and he says, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
I have no idea.
I just saw that episode, actually.
Yeah, what the hell is that? It's like there's no correct answer. It's like what came first, the chicken or the egg? A paradox. Thank you.
Oh.
Yeah.
God, that was a terrible way of explaining.
I know, but I had nothing. I was grasping at straws. And there's a paradox going on that Cannibal Holocaust falls into, and more recently, my favorite film to bring up that made everybody uncomfortable is Cuties, where you end up with right, and you end up with oh, you don't know Cuties?
Yeah, I know of it. Like, it went viral, like, people complaining about it. I was like, what the fuck's they talking about? I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah. So, essentially, it's Cannibal Holocaust, but for little kids. Because, Cannibal Holocaust is a movie against exploitive film. And by creating that film, they made an exploitive film. And Diodato, with whom I share a birthday, went to jail for making it. Cuties got a bunch of people to cancel Netflix for making a film about sexualizing young girls in Western culture, which, the film ultimately did in the end. Now, with your film, what was the message you were trying to get out?
So, practically that this is, this sort of stuff that you see is a form of entertainment on the internet. And so what I've done is, like, I've made it into more of a form of entertainment by putting it as a movie together. But the message is that of hold on, sorry. So yeah, the message is practically
What did you
just,
get, a text or something?
Sorry, phone went off.
It's fine. We've had people returning Redbox movies. We've had people cooking while we're talking to them. You're good.
The message is just, this is what our generation sees as it's a form of entertainment. That's pretty much it.
Now, do you know that to be true? I know when the internet was new, I would go on like rotten.com. I don't know if that was actually the name, but I'd be looking up like Chris Farley autopsy photos, which was like a real thing. Sure. So I know I did it. But
Filecabbie.net was one.
Was that one?
Yeah.
Well, I've seen it through my years of experience of just going on the internet. Like, I see it, on Instagram or Twitter. Twitter's like a massive place, and Facebook. Like, people put up videos of suicide on there.
Oh, dude.
And to me, I just see that. I see that as just it's seen as entertainment, because it gets taken. It doesn't like go. I mean, Facebook would try and like put it down in that, but people will grab it and then put it on these like big community websites of people that like watching gore stuff and that, with like hundreds of thousands of views.
Now, legally speaking, with the procurement of these videos and whatever ownership that they may have in these stakes, where do you lie in all this? This seems pretty gray here.
Well, I've looked up like the copyright issues for like the 90s Kids Guide to the Internet. That was like the thing I was worried about.
That's what you were worried about?
Yeah. I looked it up and I was like, okay, so let's see, because people got it on YouTube, like got big YouTubers watching it, like PewDiePie had it up. That's where I came across it actually, and I looked up the background for it and I was like, okay, so is there rights to this? And so I was looking it up, but it was like an old film company who did educational videos, and they sold their assets to a pharmaceutical company. And so now this company is now like this big pharmaceutical company, and I've like looked through these, like went deep and like found like contracts from like that company selling their assets to that pharmaceutical company, but there was nothing really I found that said anything about the copyright ownership anymore. So I was like, okay, you know what, fuck it. Seems all right. Don't care. I'm gonna do it. But yeah, what you probably want to know is with the not so PG footage.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the X footage.
So I've like done a little like review on the internet on like, I guess if you've seen at the start of the film, it's got like obscene. It talks about obscene material on the warning.
Yeah.
And I was looking through that, and it's like the only thing that seems to be worrying is if the footage is enticing the viewer to commit that sort of act.
Okay.
And that's why I say, this footage is not endorsed in any sort of type of like of that to that degree for the viewer, telling them to do that sort of stuff. So, I mean, yeah, I could get in trouble, but I don't give a fuck.
Well,
Hey now.
now
It's on the record now, James.
when I first walked away from the film,
Pops up in court. God damn it.
and I got over being like jarred, and I actually started thinking about rewatching it. The second viewing was not as tough, and when you know what's coming, it's not that bad.
Well, it's like anal.
Well, it's also like just a horror
A
movie.
bit smoother.
Yeah, the damage was done, and now it's easier to access. And man, it was very clear to me that your movie not only isn't advocating it, it's against it. Your film's doing what that '90s video failed to, and it's actually making the computer terrifying.
Yeah.
And man,
So nice.
I was so happy. Now, when I was thinking about booking you, Clark was visiting his family for the holidays, and this was the first time ever where I was like, "Hey, yeah, there's a movie."
You sent me a text, and essentially, I don't have my phone in here because I just implemented a new rule: no phones while recording. But you sent me a text, and it said something akin to, "Hey, dude, I saw a movie, and you're gonna hate it. It's fucking brutal, but we need to talk about it."
Yeah, and
We need to talk.
so yeah, Clark's a film programmer at the fest, so I'm like, we need to have one conversation there. But another one was, I really want to talk to this director. Now, one thing I failed to mention was after I watched it the first time, I DM'd James. I didn't know I was talking to him at the time, but I DM'd the account that sent it to us, and I was kind of like, I need to know. Like, I need to know who's on the other end. Because the first time I watched it, it could have been like a 14-year-old. I was like, is there like a talented 14-year-old out here who doesn't know that they're playing with fire? And instantly, I think after like talking back and forth for like a minute, I was like, I feel better. There's a dude making jokes on the other end, and I kind of got the feeling that you might have been as nervous about me contacting you as I was.
I was happy. I was like, oh, damn, yes.
All right. Now, I'm going to stop gushing about your film because I really do like it. And I think anybody who really wants to make a point, like Diodato, he kind of failed in making his point and also making part of the problem. I think I've struggled with this a lot, but I think you come out morally unscathed. And I think Clark will disagree with me there.
Well, I don't know.
It is, man.
I
It's
haven't
fine.
I haven't seen the
Totally
film. I
Yeah.
don't know if I will.
Yeah.
Now, James, my end of the stick on this is in the 10th grade.
Okay, perfect.
My mathematics teacher, I believe it was Algebra 1 at the time. Algebra 1 was 8th grade. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
10th grade. 10th grade, we're talking geometry, but he wasn't my geometry teacher. Strike two there. I don't remember. Doesn't matter,
Geometry,
James,
bro.
but he showed he was not a very good math teacher. Instead, he showed us, sometimes he would just show us videos, and he showed us this video, and it was it's not ISIS. What's the other one? What's the predecessor? Al-Qaeda.
Okay.
Thank you. It was an Al-Qaeda video of a beheading. And since that
What?
day,
Yeah.
exactly,
Fucking Mrs. Krabappel.
I didn't sleep for days. It was, this Al Qaeda guy cut this guy's head off with a very, very dull butter knife. It seemed.
They always are. The chainsaw footage, it's not clean.
He didn't do. He showed you a butter knife one. That's even worse.
It was
No one
horrible.
with like a fucking clean blade, man.
Oh no! This took a while, and I watched it all.
Why did he show it? Were you bad or something? It's like, so you're gonna watch it?
I honestly have
Doing your
no
homework,
idea why
bro.
this happened. It baffles
Check out
me.
what I think.
He will remain nameless because I think he's still teaching.
We'll dox him.
Showing butter knives.
But yeah, man, I just, and so since that day, I mean, obviously, when we all go through phases. I think Russell and I are around the same age, and the internet has been blossoming since we were teenagers. So those early days, and you're curious. You're a young boy. A lot of things are going on in the world, and this internet thing is new. So you watch a couple fucked up things on the internet, and it sort of kicks you going. But again, the death, anytime that it goes into humans and death and pain being inflicted, whether on themselves or to others, I just see them as humans, and I don't want to see it.
It doesn't help that we have like a culture of violence in America, yet we're kind of sheltered from real violence. Mm-hmm. Like one of the things I always talk about is 100 years ago, if your grandfather died, you'd be in the same house with that corpse for at least a week until they removed him.
Sure,
and you would kind of get used to what death looked like. And I think now we live in a world where we celebrate it, like we really do, and we don't know what it looks like.
Now, we can celebrate death. That is fine. Again, I am a child of a funeral director.
That is true.
So I have a very respectful view on death. Which is another reason we go back to these videos. From what you've told me, there's a video of a man committing suicide via shotgun.
Yeah.
Now, he did this as a live stream, correct?
Yeah.
So he clearly wanted you to watch this. He wanted you to suffer. So fuck him. I'm not giving him that pleasure.
But hold
whatever
on.
realm, whatever, his mother's basement he's haunting right now.
Hold on. James.
Yeah.
Were you as shocked as I was how accurate it looked like scanners?
Oh, yeah, man. Oh, yeah, the newsroom where it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. That was... Yeah, that hit me. That hit me when
it fucked me up because it looked like scanners.
Yeah.
I always thought that was over the top. And what I'm talking about, there's like a heavy set.
Cronenberg is excellent.
There's a heavy set bearded dude sitting at a laptop, like half of the YouTube shit I watch. And very quickly, a shotgun appears in frame and we get a scanners reenactment, but it's real. And I was floored. I couldn't believe. Now, when we were talking about speaking with you, James, and Clark watching your movie, one of the things I was trying to, because we were working through this, and I think a lot of what Clark was caught up with his math teacher was the situation. You were not in control there, and somebody kind of, they subjected you to it.
Yeah.
So there's a horror there. It's the teacher. And
it just reminds me of what I did to my friends. I'm like, hey guys, check out this video. You've never seen this before. Boom. And then like, oh my God, why the fuck would you show me that, you piece of shit?
Dude, you know what? You just reminded me. I was doing that like a month ago. There's a video with the dude who's in like what looks like a backyard wrestling video. And he jumps off the second turnbuckle and both of his legs get inverted.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, God damn it. I was showing everybody that video. And no context. They'd just be like, hey, check this out. And then one of my friends commented, "Oh, dude, he got AT-AT'd," which is a Star Wars reference.
Oh,
yeah. And I'm like, that's a hell of a punchline. So that's what I did to I just showed it to everybody. Dude, James, I'm as bad as you in your movie. Now, okay. Now, God, in your film, you mentioned PewDiePie a little bit ago. Now, you have a puppet character in this movie called PewDiePie. Did you make that up or is that real?
I made that up.
Okay. Well, I started doing like a morning zoo segment on this show that when we open up the podcast, and I had found a puppet that went by the name Joey the Conservative Puppet, and I found him because he was ranting about Rick Moranis being punched. But when I saw PewDiePie, which is a puppet who's kind of he's a curator of suicide videos or like horrors on the internet on YouTube.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit, is that real? Having just found one.
No.
Where did that idea come from?
So again, with this film, there was like a foundation where I wrote like, okay, this story is going to be sort of like this. I need some sort of message to make it a bit more effective and that. But like with the dialogue in the film and that between me and my friend, it was all improvised. But I just say like in this scene, I'm like, okay, this is what the scene's about. This is how we're just gonna do it, and we'll do it a few times. But with that, so on Fiverr, you know what Fiverr is?
Yeah.
So I was on there for my short film, which I had released to the festival 2 years ago. I was looking for someone. I was like, oh, I wonder if there's a narrator on here, because there's like a narrating in the short film that sounds like David Attenborough. So it's like David Attenborough talking over, but instead of animals, it's people getting killed. That's what I wanted to do. And so I found the dude. And anyway, later on, I was like, film, let's do it. Because I was thinking about like the sort of like the lore of Charlotte's Net, because I was like, because if you look at like the Blair Witch Project, it's like if you go into the forest, you're then cursed. And so I did like a thing, you click on this website, you're cursed. And if you remember at the start of the film, the puppet's talking about how hell is closer than we think to Earth.
Yeah.
And so I put that in there. So practically Charlotte's Net opens up a portal between hell and Earth. That's like the lore I made for it.
Now, I believe he credits Elon Musk with finding hell closer.
Yeah. Elon Musk and his team have discovered.
Now, you mentioned having an outline for a script and then improvising most of it. How much footage did you end up with at the end?
Oh, fuck. So the original cut for the film was like 85 minutes. But like the intro of the film where you see me and Phil and he's watching the pewdie die and then I take a shit. That wasn't there before. Originally, it was 10 minutes of me and him just sitting in the car talking about the internet.
Oh.
And it was just like, at first I was like, yeah, talk about the internet. But then I was like realizing, this is kind of boring. We need to make this more interesting.
Okay, so you didn't actually have a lot of footage that hit the floor.
Oh, it took like 10 minutes out. That's about it.
Wow. Now, mostly, like we've talked to so many found footage filmmakers. Our buddy Adam Stillwell, I always bring him up. I apologize to people that listen, but he shot The Triangle. I believe they had over 200 hours of footage, and they cut it.
Triangle. Hold on, I'm just gonna quickly.
There you go. Yeah, it's a faux documentary about a group of friends whose buddy they think has joined a cult, and sends them a postcard, and they're gonna go visit him. And we had Adam on the show, and he talked about how they basically had a location and just we're going to find the film there.
Okay.
You know what? Have you heard of Descent into Darkness?
Is that the second one?
No.
The Descent.
Descent into Darkness, My European Nightmare was the second title. Just Google that one. The director, Raphael, we had him on here. I think you'll dig that found footage film.
Okay, yeah, I'm just checking it now. Descent into Dark.
Well, while you're looking at it, I want to talk about your poop. Now, I'll tell you, the first screening that I had, the poop really saved me.
This is the only part of the movie I have seen. Continue.
Oh, you did? Oh, you did? You walked in the second time we were watching it. Now, I mean it, James. I'm not joking, James. Like, when I was done the first time, I went, my God. I think a lot of found footage fans enjoy found footage because the editor's as big of a character as any of the people in the film. And so is the craft of filmmaking. And it really gives the audience an opportunity to kind of look at a larger puzzle. So when you get a good found footage movie, a lot of the craft or, edits that aren't necessarily like in the movie They're Inside, editing was such a huge part of that film. And horror fans just didn't get it. And with your film, I was desperately looking for something that was like, this is not a maniac or like, this is, somebody's trying to make a point here. And what I ended up with was your poop. And the reason it stood out to me was because it was clearly fake. Now, am I correct in saying it was fake?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, you're the first one to say that actually, because I had to explain it was some so good ice cream and peanut butter.
Yeah, and you know what? I could tell. And I remember there's the movie Headless. That the context for that film was there was an indie film where a younger brother finds his older brother's movie that he had rented, and it's just brutal gore. And Headless is that film. The film team went back and made that brutal gore film, and there's a problem with it. There's a lot of like nudity, a lot of death, a lot of bodies piling up. It's kind of highbrow, lowbrow art, and there's no male nudity. And I remember we had the filmmaker Robbie Smith over here, and I was watching it with him, and he went, "Man, why isn't there a fucking dick in this movie?" But it's one of those things where you can tell that there's parameters here, and that the filmmaker wasn't very into showing that. Where you're like, if you're making raw, unedited, kind of like brutal shit, you'd have male nudity. And spoiler alert, by the end of the movie, there is a little bit of male nudity.
Oh yeah, man, I had to put that in, just to,
right?
But someone's gonna say that we're the dicks.
No, but no
balance.
No, I don't have a. I don't have a qualm with you not having male genitalia, but I was like, why did he fake the shit? And I'm like, so somebody who sat.
You wanted him to shit on camera?
No, but here's
like it was the timing there because I had a time limit with my friend filming there because he's pretty whipped with his girlfriend, so I had to like, okay, so I only got an hour. We only got like an hour left to do this. All right, well.
So if
there wasn't one really coming.
But if it was, would you have done it?
For sure.
Okay. I'm glad you didn't. Because really, it was, to me, I'm like, the language was telling me that the filmmaker was a little shy. And or like maybe he realizes like taking a shit on film isn't the like coolest thing to do. And I'm like, well, whoever curated a girl being stabbed in the face, we open up with a chainsaw to the throat. We have something I want to talk to you about. Kids Gone Wild. Like, what the hell? So Kids Gone Wild is I don't know what you imagine there. Maybe something sexual. No. Actually, I should mention your film has a lack of sexual violence that I commend you for.
Kids Gone Wild makes me think of Larry Clark on Spring Break.
Oh, there you go. No, this one, I think there was, it says Kids Gone Wild, and then we see a little kid with a Bowie knife going at somebody.
It's Kids Gone Wild, but it's violence.
And
with violence.
Yeah. And then we get one with the gun.
No, well, this is not fun.
What is the other one fun? Larry Clark?
Larry Clark on Spring Break? Sign me up. He knows where the parties are.
So is that a real video? You didn't put...
Okay, so those video clips are from ISIS videos.
So did they put the... Because, I mean, I call it Kids Gone Wild because it cuts to a kid in a uniform. And, like any TV show, there's a prompt that comes up, like a font somebody made, and says Kids Gone Wild.
I put that in there.
Okay, I was like,
to make it more disturbing.
Well, you succeeded.
And there's yeah.
Now, I really thought it was important that if I had time to talk to you, that I emphasized things that I think will be overlooked by the film fest you're going to horror that you've submitted to. And I'm not happy with that sentence, but there are things you did in this film that I wanted to know about. Like in your disclaimer, you mentioned that you made the choice to put background music in your film and that you wanted to use a VHS filter. Now, like, why those choices and why add that in the disclaimer?
Okay, so I can't really comment on... Okay, so with the whole... You'll see in the disclaimer, it says, you are now watching the censored VHS version. And to get the uncut version, you have to go into the Onion link. That's all I could say. I can't say any more about that.
Wait, what?
I can't say anything more about that.
So did I watch a fucking cut version? Okay.
You will find out later on down the track.
Well, now you're scaring me again. I'm going to get to see all the good Discord footage.
So yeah, I no more comment on that.
All right.
Unfortunately.
So James, when you were procuring the videos that you put in the film, were there any where you were like, this isn't extreme enough, or this is too extreme?
It was like flickering a light on and off. I was like, is this too much? Then I'll come back and be like, nah, we need something more extreme. We need to keep pushing it. And then it would be like pushing back and forth until I found like the boundary.
Yeah.
So the films that we have in the film, are they the gnarliest that you found?
With the humans, yeah. With the humans, yeah. With the animals, God fucking no.
Oh,
I know.
I bet.
Jesus Christ.
And it's funny because the narrative of your film, we're dealing with two kids who you play a character who, I didn't get the sense that he really loved. You know what? I kind of did. You play a character who's into this shit.
Yeah.
And you have a buddy who tolerates you, and he's not into it. But you convince him to go on the dark web. Now,
good old gullible friends.
Yeah. Now, how versed are you in the dark web?
I've been on it a few times.
Now, okay.
With extreme caution.
Now, here's a little bit about me. I was briefly working at a startup out here in San Francisco called Ramen Hero. And Ramen Hero, their whole idea was that we were going to give you chef-made Japanese traditional ramen, but delivery. Now, I worked with a couple of kids there. And the thing that I remember most, having not worked there for quite some time now, was that they were both pressuring me to get Tor and to go on the dark web. And I remember, I didn't know if it was my age at the time, or I'm like, what is up with these kids?
Bro, you can get drugs, man. Come on, bro.
But they were just like,
cool kids go.
They're like, why wouldn't you? And I'm like, that's a weird question. I'm like, I don't know. I imagine anything that you have to work to obtain, or like, I have to put some effort into obtaining something illegal. There's a reason. Convenience is kind of, it comes from, supply and demand and good business. And I'm like, it just feels like everything I've heard has been bad. And they're like, no, you can find some cool stuff on there. I don't remember any of their examples, but they were just not fazed by it. And I remember at the time Unfriended 2 had come out, and they kind of had a like boomer version of like the horrors of the internet. Did you see Unfriended 2?
Yeah, I like the first one more.
I liked them both, but I'm a huge fan of the format. Do you think they mishandled the warning of dark web?
To be honest, I can't really remember, to be honest.
Yeah, that's fair.
I can't. Yeah.
But so you didn't actually even need to go to the dark web to find any of this footage?
Nope. It was all on the normal net. I did go on the darknet, however, to see if there was any more extreme gore stuff, but nah, for gore, it's way worse on the normal World Wide Web.
Now, why is that? It's got to be streaming, right?
Because there's more crackdowns on the deep web than it is on the normal web, I've noticed.
Oh. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, because nobody's policing Facebook.
Have you seen YouTubers like Nexpo or Mouthy Buddha?
Yeah, Nexpo.
They come across like websites that are still like CP websites on the normal web that are still operating, and they're like trying to figure out how the fuck they're still up in that, and yet like those sort of sites get taken down the dark web, but not on the fucking main World Wide Web.
Oh man! Now Clark's not a fan of Nexpo. Just to throw that out.
Well, he started putting himself on camera and wearing hoodies and being all emo. More like Nextpo. Thank you.
Okay, good job.
His videos to be a bit slow.
Yeah, so is his dialogue. He stinks.
Yeah,
He's trying to build that tension.
Yeah, a lot of the background music really hurts that stuff too.
Yeah.
Now, I got the sense that you used a BGM because you were it was an homage to Cannibal Holocaust.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a couple times where it's like very loud. And I have it every time. It gives me a flashback to watching Cannibal Holocaust out here at the Red Vic, the Clay.
Yeah.
And my God, I thought my ears were gonna bleed. I don't.
So James, here's my last question to you, sir. You said that your whole dream was to upset people. Essentially, you wanted to disturb you like to delve in that area. And so this being your first project, your directorial debut, where you have scavenged the internet, you got the worst that you could find, you put it in here. So where do you go from here, James?
So
where's the ceiling?
That's probably, to be
Of
honest,
the
that's
basement.
probably, like the most extreme I would probably ever go. Like I write scripts here and there, and I'm currently writing a remake. Have you ever seen the original The Last American Virgin?
No, actually.
I'm doing my own version of that. It's like a rom-com American Pie sort of film.
Okay.
And but that's as high as I'll go, man.
So next is a rom-com?
Well, I just write different genres, action to romance, comedies, and that.
Dude,
So it's not just all fucked up stuff.
now here's the thing. I think you're talented, and I think you're actually going to do something that other people have failed.
But are you afraid that this is going to put you in some sort of a corner?
That's yeah.
Well, that's the beauty of it. That's the reason I kind of wanted to do it. Like me growing up, I'm like, oh, if I made something that was like Cannibal Holocaust to get put in like court or get fined for the material, to me, bad publicity in this day and age is good publicity. That's how I've seen it.
For sure. And if you're a horror fan, you know how quickly a Serbian film goes around.
Oh
Sure.
yeah. So another reason I made this is because I haven't seen a good fucked up film in ages. The last fucked up film I can remember, is a Serbian film and The Human Centipede Part 2. And that was like a decade ago. I haven't seen anything really like that since. And so that was another reason for me to make something fucked up.
Yeah, and as a horror fan, I can only agree with you. I feel like the early 2000s, we had we rediscovered France as like a horror capital. And then, we got Serbian film, and then, there wasn't a lot there. And Human Centipede too. Man, what a fucking good movie. That movie would be more brutal if it weren't so artistically like fruitful. And same thing with the Serbian film. The way you fucking take the knees out from a Serbian film is you just hear them talk about why they made it. It makes so much sense. And we were lucky enough. We went out with Stephen Biro, did an unearthed like screening in LA when he moved out there.
When he acquired the film.
When he acquired the film, and he had like a new 2K scan of it, and the lead actress and actor came out, and the director, and they just talked about why they made it. And the mother in that film, she actually does the voice for Elsa in the Frozen out in Serbia. Like they're A-list people, but they're like, it's really important to us. The censorship is so brutal out here that is
it?
Yeah.
There. I thought it'd be.
Well, that's why they made that film. That's why they called it a Serbian film, because they didn't want their government to distance that movie from the country. And it's like, hey, they're basically back in the early American studio era, where every film had to end with a happy ending and like an American flag in the background. So that, they were rebelling against it. And I think we got the best picture of Clark ever next to a severed witness.
Was it the uncut version you saw? I'm not sure if I saw the uncut version or not. I'm not too sure, because they're releasing the uncut and uncensored version next month or so to DVD.
Yeah. I believe we saw the uncut.
I believe so.
There's so many different versions of that film floating around. I mean, we saw newborn porn. I don't know. What else do you cut out of that movie?
Yeah.
Right now, I don't know. I think you're going to succeed in making the next installment. Except, your own film raises a question where our characters are sitting around and they constantly are saying, I don't want to see anything illegal. Now, were you... Like, I know we talked about the legality of showing the film, but is there any basis to, if I'm on the internet and I accidentally watch a dude kill himself, can that even be illegal? Like, could you get in trouble for that?
Well, no, man, because it is on the normal side of the internet. It's up on all these websites, and I mean on Twitter, stuff like that's allowed on there.
Yeah,
and to me, it's like, how can if you put this stuff into a film, the gore and that of actual people getting killed, I don't see how that could be illegal in a way when it's already allowed to be shown on the internet. And like the government could push and like take down these websites, but they haven't. These websites have been up for like nearly fucking 2 decades.
Yeah. And I mean, you with PewDiePie, you kind of created a thing that I've been obsessed with, where it's like a curator of true horror. Yeah. And for as hack as I thought Joey the conservative puppet was, I thought there was really something kind of scary about PewDiePie. Just being a puppet.
Yeah, so when I found it was on Fiverr through the guy who did the David Attenborough voice for my original short film. And yeah, I was just looking at something. How can I make the intro for this film a bit more entertaining than 2 guys sitting in a fucking car talking? And I was like, oh, puppets. People like puppets.
Yeah.
So I'll throw a puppet in there.
The other thing is, if somebody was really doing that, like if they were really curating the newest horrors of the internet, and they were doing it,
I don't know if they do.
Right? I mean, somebody might. And I mean, normally in every incarnation I've ever seen of that idea, it's always been like a shadowy figure with a muddled voice. Like, oh, we're here to, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And the idea of a puppet, like kind of playing up the YouTube content creator aspect, just really made it feel like they didn't care. Like the moral dilemma was not, it was the furthest thing from their mind. Yeah. And I keep thinking about it now. I'm like, is there somebody like that that's doing like horror hosting, but it's for, you know, here's the newest Facebook live video where there's a drive-by.
I could like see that on BitChute.
Oh man. Anyway, man, James, I mean, Clark, you got anything? I know we're running out of time.
No, I had my final question.
Now, Clark, do you think you'll watch it?
No.
Really? No way.
No.
Why?
Why do I need to?
Well, okay, good question. I'll speak for James here.
Traumatized.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I think you
like that feeling.
I think you really make your point, James. And I don't know. I wonder how people are going to take this interview, because you seem kind of casual about it. But the voice I got through your film, it's really impactful. And I should mention all the found footage, like purely found footage horror elements, the acting that you do with your buddy, it's good. You have a lot of long shots.
I was super surprised with my friend's acting, because he's never done it before. He's like, no, man, I can't be in it, man. I've never done acting before. I was like, dude, who gives a fuck? Let's just go with the flow. It'll just be you and me. No one else is going to be around. You can do what you want. It's me, man. It'll be fine. Anyway, yeah, after like watching like the full film when I had it done, I was like, yo, he's actually shit. He's decent. Now,
the thing is, when we come out of all those, like, you know, the 90s acting and the real life footage, and then we kind of meet him first. Now, he's not like a great actor, but it comes across as a dude who doesn't want to be on camera, and it feels authentic. And it's like, oh, this is perfect. Because the thing that can like fucking kill a lot of found footage horror is when they heavily script their film. And somebody might be authentic and like reacting, not acting, but they can't read their fucking lines, and it comes off as robotic. And he does not.
The only scripted bit is when he has the VR headset on.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was reading the script through the VR.
Okay, you know, while we're talking about the VR,
I wasn't happy with his acting on that, because he was supposed to be more, gets more movement in that while doing it, but all right, if it's good, it's good. Cool.
As a fan of your film, I thought it came across very natural there. He was kind of like held captive by a visual narrative. And now, what was happening in that video? Of all the videos that we're like kind of confronted with, that's the hardest one to see. But I think somebody was like doxing with a power drill or docking.
So someone had a fucking. If you type in Kekma on Google, it'll show you it. You'll see it. It's like a troll site. I found it on like YouTube and Reddit. People like send it. People, it's like, guys, check this out. And yeah, it's just a trick website. And it's the dude jamming a fucking massive nail down his dick.
As you
Now,
do.
we mentioned your mom's house earlier, and they've had people doing what that's sounding. That's not docking. That's sounding. And when people when people do it for actual pleasure, it looks very. I want to say safe. It looks like they're in control.
Yeah.
The video you were showing, there's a lot of blood, so I don't think that was the case. Yeah, fuck, James. I thank you for spending the time with us. And if you ever need somebody to really go to bat for you, I will. I think your film is valid. I think people need to watch it to really get like the narrative version. And I think as far as found footage horror and found footage, this is the first time I've ever really seen somebody blend those two. And that's a compliment that has nothing to do with the gore. It's just you took the medium, because at the end of the day, there's a question, and it's why did this happen, and how much of it is real? Because I can talk to you off recording. I don't want to ruin anything about the movie, but again, if the editor is a character, you're left wondering who the fuck cut this together, and with your disclaimer, it feels like I have theories, but dude, it's really good, and I hope the mob doesn't find out where you live and burn your house down. And I'm gonna do my best to flip Clark and try and get him to watch it.
James, hit me up when you do this Last American Virgin remake.
No worries, man.
All right. Well, again, seriously though,
if you do get brainwashed into watching it, just watch it on an empty stomach. Maybe a glass of water. Again,
I just I can't carry these demons with me, man. I can't do it.
I didn't feel nauseous. I felt more like shook. Yeah. I just felt like my reality had been like rattled. But again, I wonder what it's like when you have warning. Going into this blind might have been the best and worst thing.
That is true. I see that.
Yeah. I don't know.
But James, again, thank you for hanging there with us, despite us not understanding how time zones work, and rescheduling with us. Yeah, man, this was great.
Yeah, man, it was awesome. Thank you very much,
James. We love you, man. Stay in contact.
Love you too, man. Yeah, hopefully, Instagram doesn't take down the account, because I had like a post up, like it was been up for like 3 months, and it got taken down last week.
Oh fuck!
So I'm just like, what? Like, who's reporting me?
Right, exactly.